works to say hello world.
Right. Yeah. Fantastic. Awesome. Awesome. Well, you know what? You got a lot of time to finish that class. You know, I said it was like a week, but honestly, take your time, and then I'll try and write up the next class. Maybe also tomorrow. Yeah, I'll write up the next class tomorrow. Maybe I got some time after the lecture. Yeah, and part of the second class is basically going to be what we'll do today, which is to build a service on from absolutely nothing, right? I was explaining this on Saturday, and that's when I realized that this is an app that's actually trying out to be Lambdaized. So if we get completely comfortable with implementing ServerSong end-to-end, you know, no media, you don't even have to do media files, you don't have to create the media audio assets yourself using GarageBand or download it off the web, right? So this is kind of places where you can get the notes. But I usually find that sometimes it's much better to generate the sound yourself using GarageBand because those sounds are richer, you have a lot more control over the, you know, so we'll do that. But of course, you know, if you have a source already of a bunch of, you know, violent sounds, so, but the idea is that we'll set ourselves a timer, right? An hour and a half, including distractions. But I'm just going to go through this, right? This is basically, we'll do the monitor thing, we'll do it in 3 speeds. So I will first do it really fast, and I will not answer any of your questions. Sitara, welcome. So I will not answer any of your questions unless they're like super critical questions, okay? Yeah? But you know, the thing is, remember those questions because then we'll do another pass of the whole thing from beginning to end. But it won't be like super speed like I'm doing now. And maybe it won't take as many shortcuts. Hopefully one of you can do it and I can walk you through it. At that time you can ask these questions, right? And then we'll dive into that in more detail. How about that? Does that sound like a plan? So if you guys are okay with that, if you want to, right? I mean, tell me if you want to, you know, start doing the slow one immediately. I'm okay with that. But if you're okay with that, I'm basically just going to start up AWS. I don't have anything with me right now. It's like a magician, right? I have anything. I just have an AWS account. And well, I have a Mac and I have GarageBand. Okay, all right. So you gotta have something to make music, right? Okay. So yeah, you got those. But technically, you don't need those, right? Because you know, go to the library, go to Google, and find some audio source and download them too, right? Freesound.org. Go to freesound.org and you can download all the, you know, single tones and all those things. You know, in the worst case, you can use just the web audio API, which just sounds really crappy, but you know, it gives you different tones. So there's so many options, but we'll do that. We'll do end-to-end, absolutely no assets. We're going to create the assets. We're going to create the web app in JavaScript. Well, actually, let's see. I think only the JavaScript. I just pull in what I wrote on Saturday. It's faster, and then I'll talk through the code. It's about 20 lines, but certain things I don't want to get into the details of it because this is not a JavaScript class. Okay, so I'll just say step by step, you know, what it's doing. I'm not worried about the syntax. But the PHP part, I'll just talk through it as I'm implementing it. You know, you can do it in PHP or Python or something, as you feel comfortable. Actually, no, let's make PHP. So it's a whole lot easier to get going. You know. So, all right, if you're ready, we can start. We can start a timer. I want to see how long it's going to take me to do this. So let me pull up the chair. Get comfortable first. Drink some water, and then we can start. All right, and for starters, I want to show you what we're building, right? Or at least I need to remind myself what I'm building. So let me go to the website. Now we have 92% battery, and I didn't bring my charger. Does anyone have a spare Mac? Not now. I mean, just in case I run out of juice. Do you have a Mac charger? Anybody have one? Okay, good. Thank you. All right, this just helps to keep that in the back of my mind. Okay. Yeah. All right. So here's what we're going to do. No, not that. Okay. So I'm going to go North California. All right. So I don't have any here because hey guys, you gotta be quiet. Okay, I'm going to split you up then. All right. Great. So you gotta watch the video. You watch the show, or you know, do your own thing for it. All right. Oh, before I do that, thank goodness we paused. I got to start quick turn, start recording this for our online streams. That's a quick turn player. All right. New screen recording. You gotta make sure that it's okay. It is capturing the audio. Focus, yeah. Okay. Great. Here we are. Okay, so I'm actually already logged into it if you ask. But let's take a really quick look at that API. Not at the app. What are we trying to build, right? Where can I find a link really quickly? Oh yeah. I posted to our. It was an announcement. Okay, here it is. Let's do that. This is what we're trying to do. Let's see. And what is it? Stop maybe? Stop. What other patterns were we looking for? Remove maybe? Slice. Okay, so those were the patterns we're looking for. Let's say we want to pick a beat that is very unusual, and a scale that is also unusual. And let's see what happens. Actually, guess what? The audio actually works. So that sound is actually, those are the lines in my log file. And so if we are conversant with JavaScript, there was actually a pattern to this that will emerge. Once you play it in the background and it's just going, after a while you start listening, and hearing patterns. But anyway, where I was going with this is, what was I trying to say? That's better. Okay, there we go. Volume. Yeah, I just switched off. Yeah, so this is what we want to try and do. What we'll do is we'll get the JavaScript, which I've already got, which is going to yank it, but I'll just show it to you now, but we'll get to that in good time. So this is the entire source code, and then this is JavaScript. So what we'll do is when it comes time, we'll just copy this and put it in place. Everything else we're going to build. Even this, it won't take you a long time to build, but you just want to save a little bit of time here. Okay, all right, let's get rid of this. Alright, where's my AWS window? Alright, I'm gonna start. Let's go. Alright, so I'm gonna launch instance. Let's take a feature one. Alright, I'll just go with a nano. And honestly, this entire app can be contained in an S3 bucket because all the computation is happening on the client. The only thing the server is needed for is really for the access log. And so once you move this whole thing into being a lambda and have it read its own log file, you don't need any computing whatsoever, right? So you can have the JavaScript, all the static content you can host in an S3 bucket, which costs you absolutely nothing, right? 2 or 3 cents, it's 5 megabytes. The entire package is 5 megabytes, including the audio, right? So you're looking at 2 cents a month, 2 or 3 cents a month to host the app. And then you need a little bit of code to run because it needs to ask CloudTrail to say, hey, give me the last 100 lines of activity on this page, right? And then it gives, and fetches it, and then matches these patterns, start, stop, or whatever it is we type, and returns a bunch of numbers, right? That's what we're going to do right now. But I'm saying you could put that in a bunch of lines of Python code and have the S3 JavaScript call that, using post, your lambda using post. And this is a perfect candidate, right? So let's, and I think the other cool thing that we can do here is if you're comfortable with using WebSockets, which really is very similar to network programming in C, right? If you're used to that. WebSockets basically says, I want a stateful communication channel with you. I don't want to have a stateless, REST API. saying, you know, I ask for something and you give it to me, and the next time I ask, I don't know, I got to send back information that's stored in a cookie or some kind of state machine, right? Some token. But TCP channels are connection oriented, right? So I can actually say, hey, give me a channel to Ted, and I can open a WebSocket. And it's actually surprisingly simple to do that. You know, I mean, when we hear the word WebSocket, it sounds very fancy, but it's actually very, you know. And Google has a lot of really good tutorials on how to use WebSocket. Not Google, you know, there's tons of them. But the idea is that once you have WebSockets, you can basically just keep a channel open on a log stream, and every time a log line appears, you can feed it to the JavaScript, and the JavaScript will be waiting, right? On the WebSocket, you know, on a receive signal. And every time there's a receive of 10 or 20 lines, it plays those. So you can leave it on at night, you know, at low volume, and then you start hearing interesting sounds in the middle of the night, and then you know, oh my gosh, something interesting is going on my web server. I gotta go take a look. You know, so that's all very exciting. So, alright. So, but it's very easy to implement, right? I mean, think about it. It is so easy to implement. You just turn everything into a Lambda, and there you go. And I think it's really cool. You know, I'm going to try it sometime. You know, when I have some time, maybe after the end of this course, have a little bit of time. Maybe I'll, you know, put out a little Lambda. Maybe people can go and play it. You know, or listen to some totally random. This is random notes, right? Essentially, these are server log lines, and we're just turning these server log lines into musical notes. But I think the human ear somehow finds this pattern. Every time there's a cycle, right? Maybe the cycle is very hard to tell when it starts. But after you've heard it a few times, the cycle basically just imprints itself, right? So I think that's how it happens. Now in this thing, you know, it started off, when I typed in the beats for this, I said, I'm going to be completely random. I'm going to punch in ones and zeros. So I did that. And I thought this is totally random, because that's why I call it the drunken monk, right? So that's why it's going to be totally random. There's going to be no pattern here. But then if I listen to it after a while, there is actually a pattern to this. You know, it just emerges. Okay, anyway, let's go back here. You know, anytime, you should just feel free to tell me, hey, go back to your seat and start coding, okay? Because you know, I might waste a lot of time just talking about random.
Okay. Please increase the font size. Yes.
Thank you. All right, so that's, in fact, useful to me too, because I think this projector shrunk the, yeah, it, I think probably has much higher resolution. I can deal with this. Okay, this is better. Is this okay? Perfect, can you see it?
Yeah.
Sutara, can you see?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah? Hey, try. Can you see?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey, you guys are recording too? You know, are you taking, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should feel free. All right. So, okay, great. So let's see. Did I go for a? Yeah. It doesn't matter to me if I go for a free tier or not. So I'm just gonna, because I'm gonna kill it. We'll kill it. Okay. So, all right. We're doing launch. Let's go security groups. Security groups. All right. I'm gonna add HTTP. If we have time, I think I'm going to show you how to get a free SSL certificate too, so you can serve HTTPS, which you know is much better. All right, so let's make sure that we have. That's fine. All right. So okay, HTTP. Okay. All right. Let's launch that. Let's create a brand new key pair. I'll use that. Okay. Great, because I'll just delete the whole thing at the end of the time. Yeah. Okay. And we'll just say SS server song, okay? SS key pair. Or something like that. Right? So I'm going to delete that. Okay, so it's in my download folder. I should be able to connect using that. Okay. Alright, and I think we got an IP address. So let's try and connect to this guy. Copy. Copy. Terminal. Okay. SSH. Oh, I need to get the key pair. So let me copy that from. What did I call it? SSH. Okay. Pair. onto my, I'll put it here for now, SS air dot to delete dot em. Okay, fine, so just remember that.
The font is too small.
Oh yes, thank you so much. Okay, because yeah, it's the projector thing screwing with my resolution. I thought I reset it. Do I do it here?
Control plus, Shift plus.
Oh, let's just increase it for the window.
Sure.
That didn't resize it. Because yeah, I tend to with windows that are containing windows. I think increase it a bit more. I don't know what the font size is. Is that better?
Yeah.
Can you read all of it? Okay, SSH. Oh, did I move it? I did move it? No, I didn't move it.
Oh, you didn't, no, you did. You didn't execute.
SS underscore. Oh, I did move it then. Yeah, it isn't dot. Dot SSH dot SS. What is it? SS to delete. Okay. Now let me look at the permissions on this guy. Okay, so I want to change that to ch code. It's alright. 400. Okay, good. Actually, that should be good enough for me to connect. So let's say SSH-I. That's the key pair I want to use. What is the copy there? Okay, I think I did copy that. Okay, so alright, uptime, yeah, okay, so it is that machine. It's been up for 2 minutes. It will show, when I go to that console, it will show. Alright, but now let's say sudo yum install httpd. Alright, what else do I need? PHP, I want to install PHP also. Sudo yum install PHP, I guess it was PHP 5. No, I think it's just PHP, right? Okay, yes. Okay, let's make sure that, I don't remember how the install process installs HTTP. Dependencies. Remember, I think it's in here. Okay, there's a php.com. Okay, so which means that if an HTTPD comes up, it's going to read the configuration file, and then that configuration file will tell HTTPD. Let's actually take a look at the file, make sure that it is in fact, it does what I think it should. Okay? Oh, I have to install Emacs. Okay, let's just do this. Etc. http://php.conf. Okay, so let's see. It does have. Okay, so if it is. Okay, so this is what gets me every time oh, yeah, no, this is a PHP secure. Okay, that's fine. Index.php. Okay, so that's fine. Yeah, that's great. So all this says is that when HTTP comes up, it'll read this file as one of the configuration files, because it's in some special directory, and it will know that if the file name ends with .php instead of .html, I'm not going to take the contents of the file and serve it. Instead, I'm going to call the PHP interpreter, run the thing as though it's a program, take the output, and that is what I'm going to serve. Does that make sense? So that's basically what the file tells HTTP. So I think it looks good to go. So did we open up all the ports? The ports are open, PHP, and then, okay, let's start up. Although, sudo check config httpd on. Now, although we're going to kill this machine in half an hour, and it's going to be gone without a trace, when you start up httpd, and you know that this is going to be a web server, it's usually a good idea to make sure that, if the machine goes down and up accidentally, reboot or whatever it is, HTTPD also comes back on, right? So this command basically sets a flag in the system somewhere, creates a symbolic link, I don't know how it works, which means that when the system boots up, HTTPD will be automatically restarted. So you don't have to manually start it like we're doing now. right? So, so that's it. So there you go. It created a symbolic link, right? So now all I'm going to do is start up HTTP because now I can go to that website and I'm pretty sure that we won't see anything, right? So let's create a incognito window. Let's not really move this to a desktop. Hang on.
I don't think you've assigned an elastic IP.
Sorry?
I don't think you've assigned an elastic IP.
No, I didn't, because I just went through the standard instance buying process. You know that screen where it says automatically assign a public IP?
Okay.
Yeah. So I think if you have your own VPC, your default VPC, right? You default override your default VPC. We haven't talked about VPCs yet, but today is a class, according to the syllabus, that if you're interested about VPC, we can talk about it, right? Because we're supposed to have some buffer and time to spare from now. From now on, it's just playtime. Because I've shown you all the tools. Now we're just going to try and put them all together in various ways. Try and see if this works, doesn't work. Oh, I can make some good music that way, and that kind of thing. And when we start playing with WebSockets especially, you'll find it a whole lot easier to just take the output and connect it to a service like Poly, which takes text and turns it into human speech, right? Or you can do it the other way around, right? Take your microphone's output and connect it to your transcriber service. They're both services, right? And then everything you say is being transcribed into English, right? And simultaneously, you could have your web app pull it and put, everything you say is appearing as text inside a web browser. So all of that is possible, right? And I think that's what I had in mind for our project, the final project, which you can start working on in a couple of weeks, right? So you can start wiring up Poly and transcriber and start working on Liza. I think it'll be really cool. Anyway, let's go back to this. Get a little bit more music in the background. Okay, all right. It's kind of sad. All right, let's change the, where's the thing? Where's it coming from? Is it, no. Yeah, all right, so there it is. It's coming from here. Let's let's make it happy. All right, let's have it happy. Hopefully that should be better. Anyway, it's very interesting, isn't it, that there's music all around you, but we hardly ever notice, right? And this is just circle logs, and music is just repeating patterns, essentially. That's what I find. Because it's all around us, and we just have to look and it's there.
So,
Yeah, sorry.
just a quick question here.
Yeah, perfect.
So the music associated with these 4 words.
I'm gonna, yeah, we'll do that. Give me 2 minutes. I'm sorry. Okay, we'll get to that very soon. Okay, sorry. Okay. Where are we? Abby, you got me distracted. Okay, so this is so we want to go to this website and make sure that let me see. All right, here, let's say nothing is running on this website, so I shouldn't get it shouldn't be reached. So I'm going to start up HTTPD. So sudo service HTTPD start. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can refresh this, and we should get something. Okay. So we get the static test, the batch page. So now what I want to do, instead of having it serve up this page, I want to go to the document root cd/user var HTML. Is the font size big enough for you guys? Can you all see? Can you all see what's going on? Okay. So there's nothing in here. I'm gonna just create. You know what? I have to install an editor because I'm not as expert with VI as Abby is, and it will just slow me down otherwise. Okay, so just bear with me for like 10 seconds. It's gonna take time, 15 seconds. Okay, because I haven't figured out the thin install yet. I see the Okay, I'm going to reduce the brightness of the sky because this is using up my battery and batteries. Oh, yes. Okay. So when I have the editor, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and create a PHP file. Right? And to have a PHP file in there that's going to say, hi there, or something like that, we'll change that there slightly to get this, and yeah, well, no. I don't know why the base configuration of Emacs has got all these packages. I need to find it. I think I keep telling myself I need to find it, but I'm not. Yeah. See, some of these, you only need for Emacs, right? There should be a version, there should be a, it just is on text Emacs, and it should be, I need to find out. Okay, let's find out. Okay, so which directory are we in? So we're in the document root. So let me go ahead. Index.php. Now, PHP is a cool and easy language to learn. Hey, Troy, what's up? Sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. It's very distracting, isn't it? So yeah, but I don't hear it at all. I don't hear it at all. So hang on, I should just kill that page.
Yes.
But you are going to implement that or something similar to that.
Yeah.
Okay? Or maybe make it sound better.
Happier, probably.
Happier. Yeah. Make better notes. Okay? I'm not a musician. Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay. So Jason maybe will help me. Okay. All right. But I'm actually going to PHP file. Okay. Oh, jeez. Okay. Text mode is much better. All right. So print. It's very hard to go wrong with PHP. So that's why I like PHP is because it's very easy and lots of complex things. You just write one-liners. And miraculously, they work, right? Even in languages that I'm very comfortable with, like C++ or Java, sometimes I have to pause to think whether, this is a nice construct, but I'm not sure it's going to work, right? I have to spend some mental cycles there. With PHP, the confidence level is very high. Saying someone has had the same problem and they've probably implemented that in the language somewhere. Like if I want to get the IP address or something, in PHP it's like a one-liner. Whereas in Python it's like 2 or 3 lines. Plus including some, I have to remember what to set up. It's a bit of a pain. So yeah, so each language has its pros and cons, right? All right, so Brent, hi there. Let's just make sure this is working. Okay, and all right. Now, if I want to see if the file I've got is a valid PHP file, I can be able to run it right here. Right? Okay, so it actually works. It is a valid PHP file. Let's make sure I have the right permissions on this directory. Okay, yep, okay, executable, and this file can be read by the world. Okay, so if I go to that page now and refresh it, where's it gone? I should just be able to see hi there. Okay, so that kind of works. Why is this font keep, the font keeps changing to small all the time. Let me change it to Chrome. Okay. Wow, is that better? Can you read it at the back?
Yes.
Oh, so hopefully this should work. Does it work for all tabs, or is it, because I didn't set it on any particular tab, right? I set it for Chrome. No, see? Because if I set it on Chrome, it should affect all tabs, I think. Anyway, it just affected this page. But tell me, if I go back to the Amazon, at the AWS window, I want to make sure that you still see it. So it actually remembers the setting for each page. It's kind of cool. All right, so this works. Now all I need to do is in my PHP, instead of just saying hi there, I want to return a series of numbers. Okay, so here's what I did, and because this is the way I thought of the app. Maybe there's a better way to do this. And the way I thought of it is that the JavaScript is basically just going to tell the PHP side, hey, give me the last 1,000 lines in your log file that match these patterns. Okay, so it may say, oh, here's pattern A, pattern B, pattern C. And we use, I think, start, stop, slice, or something. Give it some patterns, or maybe get, post, right? So you give it these patterns, and the JavaScript is going to say, here are some patterns. Now tell me which of the lines in your log file match these patterns, and just turn them into a pattern number. Right? So all the JavaScript is expecting from PHP is basically a series of numbers in a special form called JSON. All right? It's JavaScript object notation. It's nothing, it's just curly braces and then the values in there. So in this case, it's not even curly braces, it's just an array. So I think what we're going to do is simply say something like this, right? What is syntax in PHP for out equals? Is it an array like this? All right. So here's what I do, right? So, geez. How's it? All right. I need to increase the font size again, but that's fine. We'll just have to remember to keep this window open. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's better. Is that better? Alright, so PHP, what was it we were looking for? Yeah, new array. Yeah, you always have to look up these things because they, they change. Okay, so I think you could just say new array and then close, and that should just give you a new array. Alright, so, and now I want to say, in fact, let's put some numbers in there. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, whatever, Okay, so, alright, so these are the numbers I want to return. So I want to turn these into, let's say print, I think, what is it, to convert to JSON. Why is it, didn't I set the font here? Didn't I increase the font size here? Why did it go back? Huh. Wow, I think I did. Okay. No, not this. Alright, let's go back here. If I do a command error on refresh, does it go back to the original font? Oh, good.
I think it switches between the pages or the browsers.
What? If I go here and come back?
Tabs. The different tabs might have.
Are you saying if I go to another tab and come back here, it's going to go back?
Or look at your other tabs that are open. They're not going to be the same percentage.
No, yeah, each one has its own. Sorry. No, but what I was surprised by is I thought I had already sized it. And then I came back and it's shrunk again.
I think you sized the web page.
Another one? Okay, maybe I sized another page,
Yeah.
not this one. Oh, maybe I sized it here. No, I don't know. Okay, so what were we after? Yeah, I want to convert to JSON. So I say PHP. Oh yeah. No, I'm always thinking about it. It's not. It's not sizing up everything evenly because now the URL bar is still the same size as before. You can't read the URL bar, right? The page has been sized, but not the URL bar. What you really need is something like this. Alright. Right? Because now you can see the screen, right? Because it does take advantage of everything. Yeah. Alright, so alright, PHP, we want to go from the PHP format to JSON. So to JSON, what do we do? A JSON encode. Okay, so it's JSON encode. Oh, now I have to. That's okay, we can do that. So I think it's JSON encode $out. Let's make sure that this works. Okay, so I don't need this. I'm going to print a new line after this because we're going to run it on the command line to make sure it works. Okay, PHP index.php. Okay, great. Okay, so actually it seems that there is a new line after that. So the JSON includes a new line after that. That's news to me. Okay. Yeah, well, there is a new line after that. Let's print. Does PHP print by default put a new line at the end? I don't think so, right? Python, I'm pretty sure, when you say print something, it prints something and then a new line. But PHP print is just print, right? Without a new line after that. Yeah, anyway, so these things are very hard to remember, right? That's why you always have to have Google at your side when you're coding. Anyway, it works, right? So we are actually sending back. Now all we need is for this array not to come from this hard-coded thing we have, but instead from the log file. Now, what would be an interesting log file to use? Var log HTTP access log maybe. Okay, now I can't access that, right? Because I don't have the permission. But for now, I'm going to do sudo. Right? Let's see, it's got 932 bytes in it. Let's see what it has. Right, see, it doesn't have as much information. Maybe lots of people have got it getting refreshed before it gets enough data in it. You want to have a log file that has a lot of data. I'm going to try messages like I did with the other thing, right? So I'm just going to say messages. Okay, this is a system log file. I can do this because it's just an isolated instance. It's not connected to anything that I do, right? Which is going to kill this instance. So I'm just going to look at the sensitive system log right here. So it's just a fair number of lines in here. So we can say, so this is the file that we're going to use. But again, this is not a file that I can read, right? I don't have permission to read this. So I'm going to have to create, hi Ginny, welcome to the class. All right. So I'm going to have to create a version of so here's a way. So I want access to the system log, and Apache is going to be running as virtually a nobody user. It doesn't have any permission, and it's going to have to read the system log. Now, it is a very sensitive thing, so you never actually run this on a production instance like this, right? But even if you do, I'm just going to, because we're doing this, we're just going to follow a few sensible precautions, right? And these are by no means the best precautions, and in fact, you should come up with a much better hack, a much better way of handling this. I'm just going to put in a completely random hack, which is going to give me a way to read a protected file based on a user request. And you can see how this is such a hard thing for me to do. The system is deliberately making it hard for me to do because it's saying you are exposing some inner part of yourself to the world, right? Because messages is a very private log file, right? Again, lots of things happen. You know, people could be logging their passwords there, a whole lot of things, and that's why it's owned by root and only very few people can read it. And you're telling the system, right? I want to expose this to the world. That's what you're doing, right? You know, think about it. You may look like we're doing something very benign, like playing sounds. But if it's a clever hacker, they can basically hit the PHP, and basically match multiple patterns that they have in a file and say exactly what's going on in the messages file, and break into the system. So you got to be mindful of these things, and and put the right warnings. So what you would do here, I'm going to say I'm going to have a way to read the file, and I'm going to create a directory called sudo make your bin, right? So in my /dub, I have a CGI, I have an HTML, which is my document root, and I have a bin directory in which I'm going to put a special binary, an executable file, which is capable of reading files only root can read, okay? And I'm going to do that by leveraging a Unix property called setuid. Believe it or not, I think Dennis Ritchie has a patent, or had a patent, on that bit. On that bit was patented by Dennis Ritchie. It's called the setuid bit, all right? So anyway, so in my bin, I'm going to... and var.bin, I'm going to have to put in a warning here. So sudo emacs readme warning, right? Okay. So this may I can screen by putting it all in caps, but so this directory should never. That I should put in caps. Okay, never ever be placed under a public document root. It contains a command that will expose your system. Well, that is, just say setuid root, right? It contains a a command that is setuid. Okay. I think that's enough to deter most people from playing with fire. Okay. Now the way that I'm going to create a command is basically say cp/bin/cat to a command here. So I'm going to create sudo, and now if I have there is a command called cat. I'm going to change the permissions from 755 now to 4755. So sudo chown chmod 4755. Now later on, if these things are confusing, you can also going to taking this when ask in the forums. I'm happy to explain, right? So don't worry, right? If anything is going. So, all right. So now I have a binary here, and look, the GUI is actually coloring it red for me. It's dangerous because it's got this bit that was owned by Dennis Ritchie, Bell Labs. It's a setuid bit. That means that when it runs, this command will behave as though it was run by the user who belongs, to whom this command belongs. Okay, I don't know, parse that in your own time, but this cat now it now belongs to root, so when it runs, that bit tells cat, run as root, not as the person who started you, right? So I can be a virtual nobody in this command, in the system who runs this command, but I will have root privileges. That command will give me root privileges, right? So it's dangerous. Now, but you have to remember that cat is a very benign command. Of all the commands that you could run as root, cat is probably one of the most benign ones because he's not going to do he's only read-only access, right? Cat doesn't write to your system, but you can have worse things that have set you with access. So anyway, so I'm going to call it not cat. Because, if someone comes in and says, it's a set you a command and it's called cat. So I'm going to call it something really hard to guess, even for myself. Unless I actually see it written down, I would forget it, right? So let me see. So I'd say date. I'll pipe that to this command called MD5 sum, right? So it just generates an MD5 checksum from its input, right? So I'm going to say take standard input and give me the MD5 sum. Just give me some random number. So I run again and it gives me for the new date, because for the date, the seconds part keeps changing. So each time I get a different MD5 sum, right? So I get a different MD5, right? I don't really care which ones. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to say that this thing here is not called cat. So instead, cat is called this, okay? So now I have a secret command that only I know, that I can copy and paste into my scripts that will run this. Now, even though I have that, it is a very bad idea to have, it's just for playing around with an instance that is isolated in the cloud. If someone breaks in and it's infected and it dies, that's fine, fire up another one. Or if you're going to turn it into a lambda, then you don't really care, right? So that kind of thing. Okay, all right, so let's see. So I have this command at my disposal now. So I can go back to my PHP, which lives here. Oh, actually, do I have it here? Okay, so I have it here. So now, all I need to do in this PHP is, let me put in a comment. I think in PHP, do block comments work in PHP? Oh, anyway, so all right. This file will accept a post, HTTP post, right? HTTP post structure, or input, HTTP post, accept HTTP input with a parameter P, which gives us the set of strings the user wants us to match in the chosen system log, okay? And then also the where, right? And then it's helpful to put these warning messages in many places, right? You better know what you're doing when you deploy this, because, right? If it's on a sensitive data machine, there are risks. Right? There are risks of having it exposed. All right, so something like that, right? We're just sort of putting a disclaimer, not a warning, really. All right, so now we want to build the out array. So we basically say, build the $out array based on input from the log file, and then return it, right? So we start off with $out equals a blank array. Okay, now, oops, no, semicolon that. All right. So what we want to do is read the log file. Our log file. Right? And let's say our log file is going to be $log file equals bar log messages. Now, and then again, right? Note, this is the system log. Okay? Well, at least it's not the secure log. Okay? So it's, so you've got a log file, and I think how do you shell exec, right? So how do you run a command and patch the output in PHP? PHP run shell. Let's see. See, this has gone back to tiny size and font, right? Or is it a new, brand new? See what happened? I never did anything here. Did I refresh the page?
Every time you refresh the page,
Huh?
every time you refresh the page, it looks like it applies the default setting.
But I did it when I was logged in and it didn't work,
But
right?
you refreshed it. You refresh the page, so you lose the existing.
Like now, if I refresh it, you think I'll lose it?
I think so.
Yeah, it's there. Maybe it's just locally cached, but even then, refresh is something else, right? So I don't know why it just went back all of a sudden.
Well, if you change the content,
That resets those.
if you change the content, if you go to different content, because you're using cache.
Oh, I see, okay. Anyway, we'll figure this out. All right, I think you're right. But what we'll do is, if any of you find it hard to read, just let me know, right? And then I'll hit Control plus a couple of times, and that's what we'll do. All right, okay, so, shell exec, that's what we want. Shell exec is, it returns a string. Let's see, it's the same as the backtick operator. Okay, so I think what we do, is a dollar lines equals shell exec, and then I think we want to do var // bin / what was the command that we just created? This one here. All right. In fact, if we can test this out really quickly too, right? Because I can say var I can say /bin / cat var log messages. I shouldn't have permission to do that. However, I should be able to do /var /bin /27 tab. Okay, so that command should have read privileges on var log messages. Right? So that's able to read it. So even though, so that is a super duper powerful command. So, but we know what it is now, so we'll just copy it into our, go back. So that is the command we want to run, and var log messages. So this is going to cat the entire file and give us a bunch of lines. I think it just gives it to us. What does it give it to us? So for now, let's just say, $20 lines. I want to see what it looks like. PHP. Does anyone see what the error is? I don't see, can anyone spot sorry, missing semicolon. Okay, line 19. Is that okay with you guys for me to just debug, because you get a good feel for how, when you do it, similar kinds of problems, how you would tackle them? Okay, so line 19, right? Oh, what's going on? Oh, I don't have it down here. Okay, so 19, line 19. Oh, is that it? Okay, all right, so that should work. Okay, so good. I'm getting the lines great. So I am actually getting the lines, and is that a single line, or what's the type of lines? So let's say, does anyone know what shell exec returns? It returns a single string. Okay, so it's giving me a single string called lines. So I'll just call it lines str, and then say $lines equals explode that single string on the new line character. This is all just, this is PHP code, and I run into syntax errors and then I just look it up. So lines str. Okay. All right. So now that should at least tell me how many lines I've read in from the system log file. Let's make sure that works. So print. I think it's count or size off. $lines. Okay, and let's say num lines equals, dot will concatenate, hopefully that works. Alright, oh, and then a dot, and then a new line. Alright, let's run that. Oh, num lines, 1150. Okay, so it actually does manage to read 1150 lines from, so all we need to do now is, from the user, we would have got a post parameter, right? So we'll get that parameter right here. So let's see. So I'm going to say, dollar paths to patterns to match, right? Paths to match, right? The patterns to match string, because that's coming to us from the JavaScript. So let's just say it's going to be dollar post of we'll just parameterize this. It's p. All right. I think that works. So I think it's what do I do here? So if is set. Hey, can someone find out the correct syntax for if is set? Right. So PHP. Okay, I'm just looking it up. Is set. All right. Oh, is set. There it is. Okay, so it's that. Oh yeah, and returns a boolean. So all right, so if it is set, if so I say is. Did it have an underscore? I hope it didn't have an underscore. Okay, if is that, then question mark. Then I'll say is dollar underscore pattern. Else, if I don't get anything, I'll just say it's a blank string, all right? So no patterns to match from them. Now I want to say, what are the individual patterns they've given me? So in fact, what I should do is say, all right, so explode, right? So patterns, dollar patterns to match equals, say, by the way, if this is like totally irrelevant to you and don't want this, I just copy over the existing PHP from the other thing and we're fine to go. We're almost done here, by the way, right? We're going to do the same thing with JavaScript too, but it shouldn't take all up, it shouldn't take more than an hour since we started. Okay, so getting the app ready to go, including GarageBand, so Josh will next. So you just let me know. Right? If it is boring, all you need to do is let me know. We're recording anyway, so you can ask questions later. All right, so patterns to match equals explode. I think let's break on that. So dollar patterns to match str. So we want to break up the strings that the user has given into the thing to match. So this will hopefully the above steps.
There's a missing egg over there.
Sorry?
There's a missing egg.
Where is it?
In the previous one.
Missing n?
Yeah, patterns. It's patterns.
Thank you so much, yeah. Alright, hopefully yield an array of patterns like, start, DHCP, etc. Right, so whatever the user type. So yeah, hopefully. Alright, so now we start with a blank thing, and then we're going to iterate through all of the lines and simply say, we don't need to, So I think for $i equals 0, $i less than size of, dollar lines, and $i plus. Right, that's basically a regular loop, and we basically say for line or dollar line equals stir to lower. I think that's what it's called. I remember this, from when I did before. So dollar lines of $i. All right. So this basically extracts that particular line from the array of lines we have. So that's the array. We get so line. Okay. So we've got the line. Well, by the way, when we get the patterns to match, I think this should also be to lower, so that we say we're case sensitive. All right. So we get that. Now, all we need to do is cycle through all the patterns that we have, and so for $j, $j equals 0, $j is less than size of, what do we have, patterns? Patterns, oh, why is it not autocomplete?
Will you be able to post this one on the website?
Yeah, you can just, well, you just copy it from, it's fine. We'll talk about that later. You can get it, it's very easy. You can do a much better version of it in class. You're going to do it next, right? In the next hour, you're all going to do it, right? On your own. So from scratch, I'll help you. Right? This is just a rehearsal of what you'll be doing very soon, right? And anybody who's not comfortable with PHP or JavaScript, that's fine. You just take mine, right? So I'll just show you where they are. You just grab them and put them in place. And you can always, put them in place and then go and customize that. You can do that too if you want. That's all piece of cake. Especially since those of you who are really cool with JSS, CSS and styling and stuff. I'll show you that we'll have a lot of really cool opportunities for fun there too. And GarageBand, generating sounds. I'll show you that's really fun too. All right, so we'll get to that very soon, right? So that's part of what keeps me going because I know there's a lot of fun stuff to come very soon. But you guys are just looking at code and it's boring, so I appreciate that. Thank you for your patience, okay? So, but we're done almost, I promise, okay? So with the all right. So we cycle through all the patterns we have to match. $j plus, all right? And then you say if stir pos. I always have to figure out, what the order is. We just say PHP stir pos. Is needle haystack or haystack needle? Isn't that the? All right. So it's so you look for the needle in the haystack. Okay. All right. All right. So we want to look for the pattern in the log line, and the log line is our dollar line, and we want to look for the pattern to match, which is basically dollar patterns to match of $j, right? So if stirpos says, that pattern occurs in that line, then we simply say dollar out. This is array push. I don't know whether it's object notation or dollar dot, or how do you push a value into an array? Array push, and then what is the syntax? Array push, you give it the array and then the value to push into the array. Okay. So our array is $out and the value to push is $j. Okay, all right, and then we break out of the inner loop, and that's our PHP. Oh jeez, it was inserting tags. Let's make this a little bit more readable. All right, let's just make sure, come on and check the corner cases for, give me a sec. All right, for each of the lines that we got from the log, it's going to, get the line, and then for all the patterns that we have, it's going to match the pattern. Okay, so for each of the patterns, it's going to look for the pattern in the line. If the line contains a pattern, it's just going to push the number j, that pattern matched, into the stuff that's going to return to the JavaScript. In fact, this thing here, this out thing, we just say move this here to make it cleaner. Okay. All right. So it'll take that number, push it into out, and then it'll break from the inner loop. So it'll go on to the next line. If it doesn't match, then it'll stay in the inner loop and it'll look for the next pattern. So the first pattern that matches is the number that gets pushed onto the array, and then our JSON should basically tell us what that is. So let's try that. And then in our patterns to match, rather than get it from post, let's basically say if nothing is given, let's say start is that string. The string is going to be start, new line, stop, slice. Is it? Stop, new line, slice, what else? Remove? Oh, remove slice, okay. I think that was what sounded mildly euphonic. Okay, slice, okay. All right, so let's see, what I'm saying there is if a post parameter doesn't come in, just give the default which is, that in fact we should, print a debug message here, and you'll see that's what we have. Print R dollar patterns to match exit. I don't know, is it parameterized? Okay, let's run that. To lower, where is it? To lower, oh, this is third to lower. Okay. Patterns to match, pattern. Okay. Okay, all right. So that's, we actually did get the patterns. Okay, that's good. So let's get rid of that. Okay, all right. So now I think we should just be able to hit the PHP. This is our PHP script, right? And if I run this, undefined offset $J. Okay. So sorry, where is it? Is it $I?
Yeah.
Okay, alright, let's see. $I, so size of $lines, $I plus plus, okay, that's fine. $lines of $I.
Go up.
Sorry?
It's in the for. It's the when I is less than size of lines. You forgot the dollar there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. Why didn't you complain? Okay, he's complaining. I just didn't see the complaint. Alright, so when I run it, it gives me a sequence of numbers. Then all we're going to do is write the JavaScript side, which is going to receive that sequence of numbers and translate them into musical notes, right? So where do we get those musical notes from? So here's where the fun bit is. We're going to generate those musical notes. Let's just go to GarageBand. Is that okay? The entire GarageBand exercise will take about 20 minutes, right? Probably 10 minutes. Let's actually time it. What time is it now? Right, 7:12. Let's be done with the GarageBand in about like 7:30 max. Okay, we'll generate all the sounds, all our audio assets. We'll generate them. Okay, let me close this. Okay, all right. So this is a GarageBand. I'm just going to create an empty project. Okay, there's no empty project. Alright, I'll use a software. Now when this thing that comes up, I actually take this, when I did the rehearsal for this, I ran the recording, and it's there somewhere, I have to look through it, it's in 5 parts. I have to look through it to see if there's any personal information in the video. I just delete that and then I'll post it on YouTube, and you guys can take a look. Alright, but anyway, this is what you have. You get a keyboard. This thing here is called the musical keyboard. You can actually make it visible or not by showing, hide musical typing, it's gone. Right? So I'll just say show musical typing. Can you all see the board? And the GarageBand, it's important that you see I can't make the font size bigger, it'll be harder. I can do this, it's a focus on a part if you want to look at that. Okay, so let me insert some instruments here. Can you see this? Okay, so I like the sound of orchestral music, let's say. So let's say I pick strings, string ensemble, okay? So I inserted a string ensemble, and let's say, actually, let me go to the keyboard view. Alright, it's really tiny. I'm so sorry, you guys. Right? But I think I like this because at least it's consistent. So I know what I'm getting. So this is the first octave. Let's start here. Can you hear this now? Oh. Oh, here. I turned. Okay. Okay, that's one. Okay, so these are the sounds I'm going to record. Yeah, I mean, if you're not a fan of orchestral music, pick a different instrument. That's fine. So what we're going to do is create these sounds. I'm just going to call these notes that I download as MP3 files. They're actually very rich in quality if you listen to them. I'm going to call them with the Indian music names because they're 2 letters long. I don't have the sharp symbol, and it's easier for me. The file name wise it looks cleaner. Okay, so I'll do that now. So I'm going to let me turn off the metronome so I don't hear those funny clicks in the recording. Let's say I'm going to have a lead in, which means it's not going to record for the first 4 beats and then start recording after the first 4. Okay, so that's the sound, and what I want to do is I just select that, that sound is there. I just want to share that to disk, and I think that's C1, right? So I'm just calling it SA. That's the Indian name for that song. I put it on the desktop. It is on the desktop. Yes, it is on the desktop. So it's going to go. There's my MP3. Undo that. I'll get the next note. All right. So the next note that's going to be, I'm going to call it read. So record is hit R. Okay, so I think that note was a bit too long, so I'll just delete that. I'll start again. So go there, and then position myself correctly. Okay. Oh, that's too short. Okay, but you get the idea, right? So, but let me do that. You know, even though it's a tedious thing, let me get that done again. Okay, all right. So, forward. Let me just get 6 notes this time, right? It says 1, 2, 3, 4. So some notes. All right. So expose song to disc. All right, and some drum beats. All right. Oh, what did I say there? Oh, I saved the ass. All right, okay. So anyway, so this is the process in which I record these sounds. I don't want to go through this, but the whole thing will take you about 10 or 15 minutes if you want to do it at your leisure. But I'll show you where to get these notes from. I recorded each note just like this. And in the process of doing the recording, I also downloaded a few drum beats. And so the way I got the drum beats, I think it was in here. Hang on. So let me delete that. Software instrument. Okay, electronic drum kit. And I think let's go to some afterward. All right. So these are the notes you get. So you pick a few drum beats that you like, record them as down 1, down 2, down 3, right? Yeah, so there are a couple of symbols too, right? So this is record them is exactly the same way. So you hit record. All right, so that's it. And then I export this file to disk, and then I call it, let's say, drum 20, 20. All right, so export it. And you'll see that when I quit GarageBand, don't save this. All right, so it's gone. And these are the files that we just generated. I can actually see what it sounds like. All right, so that's every time I hear a 0, when I get a 0 in the log file, I'll play this note, right? And then, well, this one was the second one, right? So I'm going to call this. And that's the next one, great, right? So that will play right here, number 2. And then this is the drum beat that we recorded, right? So you can download a bunch of these. What I did was, it took me about 30 to 40 minutes, basically, just going through that process. The first couple take a little bit of time, because you need to get into the rhythm of, clicking, and then you've got the 3, right? But then after a while, you get good at it, right? So if you did it, and you can generate a whole bunch of sounds, right? Vocal sounds, choral sounds, brass. You can knock yourself out, and you can generate multiple octaves, all kinds of things, right? So what I did, let me show you. All right. Here. This font size is really screwing me. Okay. So what is this? This is the machine. Is this the machine that we just started up? Okay. Yeah. This is the machine. Oh, it's been up 3 minutes. Okay. All right. So control command plus. All right. So I got a bunch of files that I generated just like that, and I got the notes in 1 octave, and then the same kind of notes in another octave. So I got these. I can go here, right? So, right. So it probably takes you 10 seconds to generate each note. So after I got these files, they're right here. All I need to do is transfer them over to the server. Okay. So I want to transfer these files over to the server, and I have the key and everything set up. So what I'm going to do is scp-i .ssh. Where's it gone? scp-i ~/.ssh. What do we call it? ss key pair. Okay. And then I think it was ec2-user user at. Was that in my buffer? What was it? This is the one, right? Okay, and so we'll put it here. I want to know, why do I want to copy? So I want to copy desktop notes. All right, so all my notes are in that folder. So I want to copy that to the temp directory on that machine that we just started. Oh, this is a double zero here for some reason. Okay, that should work. Dash R, because it's a directory, it's not a single file. Okay, so it's all those files transferred over to the cloud. So I have those notes that I created in GarageBand like 10 minutes ago. All those files I just zipped up and transferred over to the cloud. So they are in place now, ready for me to go in a browser and play them. So let's just check it out. So if I log into that machine, did we log into that machine? Is it this one? No, here. It's this one. No, it's this one. Yeah, this is the tab? Okay, so, all right. So in my /temp directory, I should find, oops. Right, I should find this folder called notes. And in here, I'll find all the sounds that I want. I'll just transfer those over. So my HTML, this is a structure I'm thinking of that will eventually happen. So I'm going to have a directory called the easiest thing to do right now is I'm going to change the ownership of the current directory to EC2 user, so I don't have to sudo every command, and then I'll change it back at some later time. So chown EC2 user dot, okay. All right, so that should let me create files in this, and we're doing everything as root right now, by the way, right? We logged into the root account, we started off the EC2 instance as root, but you know, eventually you're going to turn this into a Lambda anyway, so you know, this is just to show that you know we've got to get comfortable enough to create the app on a compute instance. We create the app and have it run, and we'll get there, right? I promise every one of us will get there, and we get comfortable with that. That's the point when we start thinking about, yes, now I don't need a compute server on standby. That's basically what we're doing, right? Because think about last class when we were trying to serve the static content, you know, put it in an S3 bucket and serve it. You don't need computing for that. But this thing here, we actually need computing because it's got to read the log file and do some computing, translate that into numbers. You cannot do that in an S3 bucket. So we're actually using a computer, an EC2 instance, which is a whole lot cheaper than buying a machine and building it and running it, but still is not as cheap as we want because ideally, we're having computing on standby. You know, maybe 10 users hit this website, you know, one time a day, or something like that. And the rest of the time, the EC2 instance is just hanging out there, right? And we're just paying for nothing at all. Even if it's 10 cents, we're paying, right? So we want to avoid that. And that's why Lambda comes in. And Lambda says, no, don't pay for standby computing, right? So just tell us the code to execute, we'll just find free cycles somewhere. Some guy's computer that is running and is not doing anything, we'll get that to run your code, right? And give the credit to that person and you. So you're all just running the code, not wasting cycles, right? So that's where we're good. So more and more computing is getting commoditized, you know, like a continuous quantity. All right, so, all right, where are we going here? So yeah, this works, so PHP works, that's fine. So the structure we're going to create here, here. All right, so I'm thinking what we'll do is in here we'll have a make your JavaScript, and a styling directory, CSS, and then a PHP from which our PHP is going to get run, and then let's say audio, right? Odd, right? AUD, in which we'll store all of our audio assets. Okay, so I've got these directories done. So here they are. I want to get the audio that I copied from my PC into the audio directory. So I can go in and listen to it and see if it actually sounds good in a browser. Okay, so currently the directory is empty. So let me cp, actually I will move /dan/notes, and I think it's one / a whole bunch of notes, right? Started MP3 just in case there are special Mac files, right? All right. Unless the Mac files are started with underscore. Okay. All right. And then I also copy the second octave over. So I did 2 octaves, by the way, right? I did 2 octaves, and so when I recorded. So I think I recorded 24 notes altogether. So let me get the second octave also. All right, so, and then you see what I mean about the file names, because I can just use the Indian names as 2 letters, and I don't have to use _sharp, and you know, and programmatically it's easier for me to construct the names too. So, like in English, you have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, right? So, I think in Indian music, you have sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, right? So, it has 2 letters, and I just use them. And then for the sharps, you have the vowel changes. That's it. So, I'm just using a convention, which makes it simplifies things. And I'm using 1 and 2 for the octave, so that's easier. You can come up with your own naming convention, which makes it easier. All right. So let's listen to these notes in a browser and see if it actually works. You know. All right. So let's go to the audio directory here. All right. So these are the notes that we just downloaded. How do I? Yeah, plus minus me. Okay. So let's listen to one of these, right? In the browser. Okay. So that's what it's going to sound like when I S1 is played. And then, you know, so those are you can generate sounds. Okay, so, you know, orchestral, right? You just download it from the string ensemble, so kind of sounds like. Larry?
Do you show the command to move the notes real quick?
Sorry?
Do you show the command to move the notes real quick?
To read the notes?
To move the notes from tab.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What did I do? I did an SCP, a secure copy. Why is it, you know,
No,
yeah,
from, like,
I gotta figure out, I'm doing something wrong here.
What's up?
CP copy.
Not the.
Yeah, okay, here it is.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm doing wrong is I'm just very indisciplined with my use of
I
tabs.
meant from the tab directory into.
Here.
Let's see, P,
I just need to write it down.
We'll do it once. We'll do it again, right? I mean, we'll do it in slow motion later. Yeah, we'll do it in slow motion later. Yeah, okay. No, not slow motion. I mean, we'll do it in question answering mode. You know what I mean, right? I mean, you could all know how to do this, but because it's you know something else. It'll take you longer than because I've done this once. No, I did it on Saturday. I did it because I take that rehearsal, right? So it's faster for me. So sometimes I could just take liberties, say, hey, this is, you know, I know what happens here, but I've probably forgotten that I looked up for 20 minutes on Saturday before I got the answer.
Can you do history command on this?
Oh, which command are you talking? This one?
Just do history.
Yeah,
History.
Oh, history, yeah, okay. In fact, what I'll do is, all right. So in fact, what I'll do is I'll just copy all of that.
You can save it.
No, I'll just put it in Collaborated so you can just pick it up at your leisure, okay?
look also the code.
The code, I'll show you where to get the code. You know, I'll get that later. What's the issue with Collaborated?
And can this app run on Windows, your GarageBand?
Unfortunately, yeah, Windows. There are rich audio apps on Windows, but they are not free. With a Mac, most of the apps like iMovie and GarageBand, this is actually pretty professional quality, even on a regular Mac, right? And they give it to everyone. And preferably, you know, because the next level up with Logic Board, I'm not a musician, so I don't use it, but I get all that for free, right? When I buy a Mac. So.
Windows.
Yeah, you gotta buy, but there are very good software. I have friends who have very good software on Windows machines. But you gotta buy professional grade stuff.
No, I don't want to.
Yeah, I know that. I figured I'd want to. All right. Why is it not even increasing the font size now? Oh, because it's waiting on that website. What did I want to do? I want to put it on.
Would it be possible just to take the history and save it as a file, and then probably push the entire history?
Yeah, but I'm trying to get to this public document. So I'll just go here. Okay, this is easier. Rather than collaborative.com, which used to be so reliable, I thought it was a Bay Area company. We go to cpb.sh. See, that one's actually faster. And then let me get the share URL here. Let's run this first. Okay, so when I run it, it generates a. All right, so when I run it, it can generate a share URL, which you can go to. Oh, I need to say a comment here. All right, so that's part of the history. Where's the rest of the comment? Where's the history? All right. All of this? All right, that's the tail of it. So we'll get all of that and put it there. Okay. Now, show this comment. Okay, now just still get out of program, let's run it, and then get the URL. All right, so if you go to this URL 9N6EI, you should just be able to get the same out of it. Then you just copy and paste from that. Okay, all right, let's go back here. Oh, 9N6, oh, cpp.sh, 9N6EI. Yeah, collaborative.com is a much cleaner and nicer interface, right? Because they support text documents. You just go to a text document.
So can you keep the post on Canvas?
Yeah, I can post it on Canvas. Yeah, I wonder why I didn't think of that first. Hang on. Yeah, I should have gone to Canvas first. Yeah, I just created an announcement and I can put it there.
Yeah.
What was I thinking about?
I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for telling me.
You can put the audio files too.
I'll get it, you know, those things we're gonna get to later. Right, this is just very strict. Alright, okay, so where are we? Okay, so we got all the files, we're there. Now is the interesting part when some of you who are more artistic or CSS people can, you wanna do it?
No, but I was going to say something about if you want to share the URL easily, you could post it into yelkey.com.
What is it?
Yelkey.com.
Yelkey.com?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like this. Yelkey.com?
Yeah.
And?
And if you post the URL, it will create like a
Oh, a link to it.
which is like easy to remember. It will be like yelkey.com.
Oh, I see.
Sandwich or something.
Okay, so I can just copy this and put it there. Where is it? This one. And then generate Yelkey. Please enter a
You only want it for
URL.
5 minutes?
Sorry?
You only want it to exist for 5 minutes?
Yeah, well, I mean, your key is forget. I don't know. So if you go to yelkey.com/forget, you go to the URL. Okay, I don't know what the value of that is, but right now, let's just go. All right, maybe we'll find a value for that here. Okay, so we've got the index.php. So what our index.php is actually the thing that reads the log file, right? So what we want to do is move index.php to our PHP directory. I think it's get data.php. All right. So get data.php is what we want to run. So PHP get data. That's what we want to run to get that number, right? So we get the log file when we run that, the latest log file. All right. So so we want to create the index.html here. So let's say in the index.html. Okay. So this is where I'm going to need your artistic help, because right now, as you know, that there is no index.html. So what do we need here? So HTML body. Oh, let's also go to Google and pick out a nice font. I'm gonna fix that up. Don't worry. Oh, why is it doing 2 hashes and 2? Oh, maybe it's just my fingers. And it's Okay, alright, so this is my template. I should really have been using something like Flask or some template, but I want to show that you start from absolute scratch with absolutely nothing at all, and we have this app at the end, right? So what are the elements I want in here? But before I do that, let me also see that I want to use a nice font, right? A Google font. So let's see. Let me go to Google Fonts. There's lots and lots of free fonts, right? So let's go to Google Fonts. Let's pick a nice little one, and it'll tell us exactly what to do. All right, let's see. Can tell me if you want, if any of you like a particular font, we'll just use that, okay? So let's see. All right, how about something? How about pop-ins? Oh, this one. Oh, no, hang on. Actually, Mooly. All right, so how about this one? Okay. So is that okay? This is just font. Okay. So I'm just going to say I want to use that font. Okay. So this is what I've selected this. And Google says, well, if you want this font, all you need to do is just go and input this in your HTML file. Yes, thank you very much. I will actually go and put that in my HTML file right here. That's great. So I've got that Google font now. And where I want to use that font, Google says, just use that style on it. So we're going to go ahead and create the style too. So I'm going to say, in addition to that, we're going to have our own style. So href would be CSS / server song song.php. Oh no, CSS. In fact, let's do that, right? Well, let's name all of our files. So MV PHP, what is it called? Get data. We'll actually call that PHP server song.php. So all of it will be server song.js, .php, and so on. Server song.php. Okay. All right. Good. So and then we're going to call the style sheet here. So that is fine. And then at the end, we're going to have some JavaScript. So I will just pull the JavaScript from elsewhere, and I'll show you. So script source equals JS / server song.js. And this is the part we'll just copy and paste, and we don't have to, write it. We'll save some time there. Okay, now what are the things that we need? Oh, I think we'll also use jQuery. So let's just go to Google and say hosted jQuery. All right, so let's say hosted jQuery. Oh, so here it is. They give us a link right there. So we just need this snippet in our we need a snippet in our HTML page. So I'm just going to do this. So I'll explain all of this. Okay, I'll explain all of this later. So we're just doing things a little fast. I hope not too fast. Okay, so these are the things that we're going to need, and here is our actual. This needs to go in head. So we'll say okay. Okay, all right. And then let's say we have a title. So let's say ID of div. Let's say div, and then ID equals SS. We'll start them all with SS underscore so that we have some kind of namespace thing going when we go to the CSS file in just a few moments. Okay, so title, and I think let's say listen to your server song or something like that. Okay, so that's in div. What else do we have? We have a text box. Okay, so text box where users can go and type in some stuff. So let's say text area ID equals SS underscore text box. And then let's say width and height we can set in the thing. So text in the style sheet. Okay, what else do we need? So we have the text area. We need a button for the user to press so that we can start playing the song. So and then we can have a go there. So we attach a handler. So we'll say button ID equals SS go button start SS start. Okay, and then we'll say on click. On click equals SS start. Yeah, actually, and then SS. Okay, all right. So and then start singing. Well, what did I say? Sing baby sing or something like that. Okay, let's be cool. Let's say sing baby sing. Okay, so / button. Okay, so we have these elements, and we just need to style these elements to look nice. Oh, we actually have a couple of drop downs too, right? So how do we do drop downs in HTML select option? Let's take a look. What does it look like? Okay, so it looks like it has a select, and then the option, the value is what is returned, and then the text is what is displayed. Okay, so let's go back here. So we'll say select. This is our drop down for let's say the beat, the beats. Okay, so let's say select ID equals SS beat selector. This will all be typed out very quick. If it's taking too long, just let me know, okay? So you just move on. But we have a lot of time, that's why I'm doing this. And I'm really sorry if this is, you can tell me don't do this, do it a different way, I'm happy to do it, right? I just want to get this done so we can walk through it more quickly and, more peacefully and look at, dissect it. All right, so, but if you want to start with the existing app, that's fine too, because we're only 20 minutes away. All right, so beat selector, okay, so, okay, that's my drop down, and I'll say option, value equals, give me a name for the first beat, let's say, okay, and then let's call this, every play every note. No, give it a, what did I call it? Miss no misstep or something like that. Miss no misstep. Okay. Alright, okay, so that's one. We have a bunch of different options. So let's say we have another kind of beat. These are the beats, right? So 1 means that every note is going to be played. 1, 0, 0 means that the first note is played, and then there's 2 silences, and then you pull the next. So it'll be no more step by step. You'll hear it. Okay, 1, 0, 1, 1. Okay, so that kind of skips a note here, skips a beat. So let's call that skipper. And I think that's what I call it, right? So skipper, skipper beat, or whatever, right? Skipper beat or something like that. Okay, all right. So and then this was a drunken monk, right? So I just punch in a bunch of random numbers, right? So I say 1 1 0 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 0. But yeah, something like that. I don't know. A bunch of random numbers. Maybe 1 1. Okay. All right. Alright, so a bunch of random numbers here, I don't know. So it doesn't actually matter because it's going to cycle, right? So we'll discover a pattern. So let's call this butterfly, right? Butterfly, because there's no pattern that I have seen in butterfly, right? Butterfly. Okay, carefree butterfly. Okay, so you just give it these names. Alright, that's the first drop down. The second one has got to select the scale. And in a scale, and I'm going to say scale selector. And then let's say, I'm just using these Indian names here. Let's just give it because that's what I'm matching in my JavaScript, so we'll just put this here. I think one more. Let's say one more. Okay. Alright, so and I think I call this the golden lotus or something like that. Alright, so you can come up with some funny names for these things. I don't know. Let's say blues, blues. Blues Brothers. Alright, so there's 5 notes in this scale, so it's, we'll call this the 5 adventurers. Okay, alright, so now if I go to the index.html, I should be able to see all of this, but except it's going to complain that server song.js does not exist. So let's touch this. Touch js/server song.js, and also this other file that's going to look for a css/. Okay, so it's going to look for these files. So let me I just make sure these files existed. Alright. Okay. Alright, so if I go to this website now, I should be able to see this structure, except it's not going to be styled because it's very ugly. I don't have a style file right now, but you'll see how in a moment we can just go and create the CSS file and it's there. It's styled immediately. Where's that URL? Where's that thing gone? Let's copy this. Alright, so is this there? Okay, let's go here. Alright, so if I go here, now we have all that, all the elements that we need, they're here. So we have the drop down, and then we have, the text areas here. We just need to style this. So what we'll do is go back here, and you know that in my index.html file, I already included serversong.css, right? And then each of these guys also has a name, ID. SS beat selector, and so we can refer to each of these by name and give them each a style. So let's just do that really quickly, and we're done. So, CSS. Well, actually, we just have to get JavaScript, but that's like 10 seconds, right? We'll just copy it over and we're done. So, CD CSS. Can someone, if someone is good at CSS, just give me a CSS file that I can use, and I'll just drop it in there, and we're done. But what I'm doing is doing some very rudimentary styling here. All right, so here is serversong.css. Okay, Emacs serversong.css. Okay, so the things that we need to style are here. Index. Okay, so all the ID lines, ID equals, right? SS underscore and so on. Those are the ones that we need to style. So let me just extract those from the previous, So grab SS underscore from index.html. Okay, so these are the guys that I want to style. So just copy that, that's all. Okay, those are the only ones that we need to create styles for. Okay, so alright, so let me just go here, let me just put this in a comment block for now, so that later on we know what to style. Alright, so here I'm going to have to create styles for, let me say body. The body uses that Google font that we got, right? What did Google say we should use? Oh gee, did I lose that window? What was the name of the font anyway? So, alright, so it was Mooley. Okay, so let's see, font family, Mooley, and then the default could be how about sans serif. This is, I think, I actually didn't take the trouble to find out exactly what it is. I think it's just a fallback chain. If one is not available, it goes to the next. I think that's what it is. So let's also say color of the title font. That's it for the body. Oh, let's say everything in this thing, the thing is going to be centered. Okay. So text align center. Okay. All right. Now if I go here, this page. All right, if I refresh, I should at least have everything centered. Okay. The font is okay. The font looks good. Let's go to the body and then the title. Now let's define the title. SS title. Okay. Now it is not a class, it is an ID, so this is where it is. I'm going to say color of the title will be blue. Let's because now I've got to change the name of the next quest. It's not going to be called a patient panda because Grace went and announced there was a patient panda to everyone, and I'm going to have to change the password. It's going to be something to do with a nightingale, and everything is going to be blue in the spec. Okay, so all right, and part of the second quest is server song. You've got to implement server song. And there's going to be a video, and there's all of this, you can refer to all of this, but you will basically implement the server song application yourself, get it done, that's your second quest. There'll be a few additional things that you have to do, like, put the URL in an S3 bucket that I can go and get, and then, but I haven't thought about the details of the quest yet, but I'll get it done, hopefully by the end of this week. Right, have it in your hands. No hurry, but you have to complete the first quest, and then do the second quest, and then we can spend the rest of the time this quarter. Right? Just working on the quest, getting into as much detail as you want. And for the more adventurous types of you, please go ahead and do WebSockets and Poly and transcribe and all those other things too. We'll organize a couple of hackathons, all day camps up the hill, right? On a Saturday, we'll get pizza. Teresa said she'll buy the food and drinks. We'll do that. And then, we'll get a lot of exciting stuff done in a couple of weeks from now. Let's see. All right, so color blue. Let's actually see if the title color is working. Okay, it is blue, so it's working. The styling is actually working. Okay, so let's say dark blue, the title. And also, let's say the title should be big. Font size, 36 points. And then give it a bit of, padding below. So let's say, padding. This is margin. It's at least not one of you who's good at margin bottom. I don't know, 20 px. Okay. All right. Let's see if that is reflected here. Okay. All right. It seems okay. All right. Now, what is the other thing that we need to style? The text box. Okay. So where is it? Oh, the two selectors. The two selectors. Okay. And where are the two selectors here? In fact, they're them right after each other, and with a couple of blank spaces and BSP. Okay. Because if everything is just being centered, and well, let's see. All right. So I don't know. All right. Good. So there you go. What are the other things? The beat selector and the scale selector. Okay. So what we can do is drop down SS beat. I should really have made it a class, but let's not worry about that for now. We'll just say. This is the style of the drop down. We'll just leave both of those alone for now. Color them or do some things to them if you want later on. Text box. We want to style the text box. Okay. So. Okay. This text box, I think, should be. I don't know. Width should be about 500 pixels, let's say 800 pixels, right? 800 pixels, and the height should be, I don't know, height, we can come back and adjust that later. Okay, height should be, I don't know, what is this? 400 pixels. Okay, let's see what it looks like. And let's say background color. Make that yellow. Gold, yeah, I like gold. Okay, alright, good. Let's do gold. Let's see if it all looks right. Okay, well, it's too big. And then there's no space, alright, so what we'll do is say, back to our HTML, and say there is a break here, BR. Alright, so it was too many lines, so just get rid of one of them. And then, this is too big. And the height is not, it's not 800 px. Width is 800 px. Let's say width is 400, and the height is 200. Why is it? Has someone got a good CSS file for me that I can use? Alright, so just, smooths out the, and then margin top, okay? Margin top, let's say 20 px, okay? Okay, alright, is it down? Why is it all to the, oh, because that other thing, okay, so that button, we need to move the button to the next thing, and then it'll be same. Okay, so SS start button. Okay, so all we need to do is hash SS start button, and then, okay, and then here, put a blank line between the text box and, okay, now I think it should look much better. We'll just put a little bit of a space above the button, margin top, I don't know, 10, just 20 px again, and then this should, the height is, I don't know, for some reason I think the height is much bigger, and that looks more reasonable. Don't you think? Okay, alright, so this is our page, and every time I click this button, you will see that in the console, it's going to call this function, but that function doesn't exist, right? It's going to complain. Why is it not complaining? The button, I do have the on-click. Where's my on-click? Start button, on-click equals SS start. So, so when the button is pressed, it should call SS start. But SS start does not exist, so it should have given me an error. Why? What's going on here? Why is it not giving me an error? Oh, it's, I don't have, this is typo. Yeah, I should have not used Emacs, right? I mean, I should have used a proper IDE. All right, so there's a typo because I missed out a quote somewhere. On click. In fact, yeah, I don't need quotes for the tag name. Okay, I think this should do it. All right, so if I just go here, I should just be able to reload. All right, so now when I do this, okay, so it says it doesn't know. It got the function, it's being called, but it doesn't know that file exists. So all I need to do is, just go to my, the place where where's that thing? The one that was try was bothered by. All right, where is it in Canvas? Is it in Canvas? All right, so we're gonna leave this page.
No.
I'm just, you know what? I'll just post this for now, and then. All right, I'm gonna leave. Where's that link? Where's that link? All right. So here. Okay, so this is the page we went to. Oh, this is the one that I put together. So we'll just go to View Source, and then this is the JavaScript file that we need. So if you look at it, all I'm doing really in this file is that this function here, SS start, is going to get called every time someone presses the button. So when that button is pressed, all I do is I say, oh, there's this text box window called patterns input. Go grab everything from there and then send it off to the remote server. This is the $post. So send it to the PHP script. This is my PHP script. I'm calling the PHP script and I'm sending the data. And PHP script sends me like an array. And when I get that array, I just stuff it in some global array and say, go on, play that notes. Play those notes in this array. That's all I'm doing, right? So it's stuff through the code. I'm happy to explain it in detail later. This is like 10, 15 lines of code. Really not a huge deal. All right, so what I'm going to do is just copy that whole thing. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and put it in my CS is JS file, right? Cat JS slash server song.js. Okay, so I just got the entire JavaScript file from there and I put it here. So this is mine now. It's on that server, so it's there. Sure. S underscore star. Okay, that's I need to remember that. Then everything else is scale selector. Okay, and then what is the other one called? SS beat selector. Okay, SS beat selector. So one of them is beats plural s, and the other one is singular scale selector. Okay, all right. Okay, good. So all you need to do is just make sure that's there, and we're ready to go. Believe it or not. Okay, so where is it's called SS beat. Is it plural? Beat selector. Okay, and scale selector. I think the JavaScript now hooks on to the right things in here. Okay, so it's looking for beat selector. It's got that. It's got that. Okay, everything's all right. So we should just now be able to just run it and it should go, right? I wonder how long that took us. But, let's see. I did start recording, so let's go to a different URL. And let's go here. Well, if it doesn't work, we'll find out. All right, so this is the site that we just built, right? We just went to the URL, just got it sound built. And in fact, we can kind of go to Route 53 and get a URL. Route 53, and we'll get a serversong.us website and just stick it there. And as I get started now, and where's my registered domains? We just buy one. Search domains by prefix. Let's say server song. I bet. Oh, I don't have any. Okay, registered domain. So okay, server song. Okay, .com. Let's check. My server song. It's available. Serversong.com is actually available for $12. What the hell? I'll just go ahead and buy it. Okay. All right. So. All right, so let's see. Maybe we'll, make sure it doesn't auto-renew and things like that. All right, we shouldn't get sidetracked into this. All right, where did we go? All right, so let's, now if I reload, it should be there, and I should say, start. Oh, it's this, the font inside of the text area we didn't configure nicely. So let's just do that one thing very quickly. Font, family, clear, and fixed, which looks nicer. Text, align, center, and then font size. Let's make it bigger. 20, maybe that's 12. Maybe 24. Okay, 24 px. All right, let's see what it looks like now. So reload. All right, now, all right, it's right in the middle. So I can start typing. Start. Okay, stop. Remove. All right, so let's try and. Nothing in the patterns box. Okay, so it's not able to look in there. So what's SS patterns input? Okay, it's looking for SS patterns input. But what did we actually call it? Maybe we didn't call it SS patterns input. Is this from me? Sorry. It totally confused me for a sec there. Okay, I call it SS text box. I should call it SS patterns input. Okay, patterns input. Oh, is that what it's called in the JavaScript? Let's make sure. JS/. Okay, what's it called? SS underscore patterns underscore input and dot val. Okay, that's what we're getting. And it's going to SS start. The button is SS start. Oh, and we call it SS. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so SS patterns input. So this should work. Okay, let's see. All right. So reload. Oh my gosh, what happened to the error in the style file? So there's an error in the style file and it screwed up everything. Hmm? What happened? Where is the page? Oh, all right. So hang on. So let's think calmly about this for a sec. All right. So I'm pretty sure there's just an error in the style file. Okay, server song. CSS. Okay. There's somewhere in here. We must have screwed up really badly. That looks good. That looks good. SS text. Oh, we have to. Yeah. Okay. What was it called? What was it called? The patterns input. SS underscore patterns underscore input. Okay. So that is. And there's beats selected. How the hell did it work before? We have so many errors in here. All right. So title is correct. The styling is correct here so far. Okay. So let's see patterns input. Okay. How did it style it correctly before? So how did it style it correctly before? I have no idea. Okay, so.
That makes sense, where that photo is not reading.
Okay, unexpected token, position, okay, JSON and code. So all I'm going to do here is let's say where's the sources? Let me see. SS historic inside and here. Is it okay with you for me to debug it like this? So I'm just gonna okay. So SS nodes, I've got the response. Let me reduce the size of this thing here and this thing, so it makes it easier for me to. Oh, and you can't see. Oh, jeez. How do I? Okay. Is this better?
Yeah. No, but it sort of makes you
Okay.
sick
All right.
when it does it.
No, don't look down. All right. So. All right. Okay, so I'm in here and I've got the result back and it's returning a bunch of zeros, which is fine. It can return a bunch of zeros, that's okay. But it is returning something, but it's not playing it, right? So let's see. All right, let's tap over that and look at the JSON object itself. So where's my button? Oh my gosh, down battery. Okay, Abby, I need your power.
Don't forget to give it back.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Wait, you
But
have a.
I don't know where
Error pro.
the. Hmm?
Which the.
This will work, this will work. But I just need to find a power outlet though. This will work. Hmm?
They're one of.
You should have won.
Oh, does that work?
No, for some reason, it's not
They usually
working.
work.
Is it not working?
Last week it worked.
Not, is it working now? Well, I'll try it now.
Because I had trouble charging.
Okay. Hey, it actually works. Thank you. Great. Okay. So I can actually have some decent brightness now. All right. So great. So let me see. Thank you, Abby. All right. What did I do? So go in here and we'll parse this, and it's generating an error right there. So check over that. Okay, that's where the exception is. It wasn't able to parse it correctly. Am I sending back the right JSON? So that's the question. Right? So let me see. I'm going to say console log, I think, result, whatever I get back. So I'm just going to let me run it now. Okay, so let's look at my console to see what I got. I got an array, a lot of zeros. Okay, so at least I know that I'm getting something back, and what I'm not able to do is syntax error. Unexpected token / JSON position 0. Oh, damn! It's actually returning all those comments. So all I need to do is just get rid of this nonsense in PHP. I forgot, right? So in PHP, like I said before, it's such an easy language to use because anything that PHP doesn't understand, it'll just spit to the output and search my song.php. Oh, it's not loaded. Okay. PHP. Okay, PHP. Okay, so it was spitting out all of this. All right. Ideally, that needs to be a different kind of comment. Let me edit that one. Why is it saying it's right predicted? And so maybe I just sudo Emacs it before. All right. Okay. So this nonsense shouldn't really be here. It should be part of a comment. I'm just going to remove it for now, okay? So, and why is it all so dirty here? Okay, it looks better, I think. I think that looks better. Okay. That's all, that's the only PHP. Because that's why I said, when you want to lambdify this, it's just very simple. You like 2 or 3 lines of Python and you're done. All right, so that's there. Now we should be able to, that should run. Okay, so what do we say? Stop, DHCP, start. Okay, let's try and match these 3 patterns. Okay, so let me get rid of that and then continue. Where's the continue button on? Well, we were getting that sound because you saw that there was a bug. It's not a bug in the PHP, it's just returning a whole bunch of zeros. But now we can see why it's returning a whole bunch of zeros, right? There must be some reason. So you can run the PHP on the server side, forget about the browser, and say, hey, well, I'm getting a whole bunch of zeros. What's the pattern we're trying to match? What's the first pattern that I got? The first pattern is start. Does every line of the log file have start in it? Right? So you can debug that, and eventually you'll figure out, well, the right patterns to use for something that sounds good is maybe I should use DHCP X0. Or find some interesting patterns. You look at the log file, right? Let me stop that for a sec. Okay, so you look at your log file. How much time did it take? It's 8 o'clock. So it took I think it took about 2 hours of time since the class started, and then we had a bunch of diversions and digressions. But you don't have to do it in 2 hours, right? You can take your own time. But now we've seen the fast-forward version of it, so you can do it slowly. You can add your own bells and whistles. You can customize it. You can make this page more interesting. You can create your own notes. You can download interesting notes. Just go to freesound.org and say, I want some interesting, MP3s of someone playing, C# on a lute, right? These sound lute sounds. You download all the lute sounds you want. So you play with it. So the scope is basically endless. And all of these are audio assets, but you'll be surprised. Even the sounds you download on freesound.org, even the free ones, they were like, I don't know, 50 to, 200 to 300 kilobytes big, right? MP3 files. Even though you can restrict the search to give me only the waveforms that are 5 seconds long or shorter, even then, those WAV files and MP3s are pretty big. And you play them, and the quality is not rich, right? Whereas you saw how the sound sounds kind of rich here with the string ensemble with GarageBand. Many of the sounds that the Max ships with, I don't know, they got some really professional ears, I guess, right? So and these are free, and you look at the size of these files, they're actually very efficiently written MP3 files, I think. They're like, 20 to 30 kilobytes, maybe 50 kilobytes.
Question here.
Yeah.
So when you move all the MP3s to that instance, so even if you are stopping the instance, they will continue to charge you for having those data.
Oh, so here's the thing, right? So you get 8 gigabytes. That's the minimum you get with any instance. You get 8 gigabytes of EBS storage.
You keep charging us, tiny things.
No. Unless you did something really crazy, you should not even be getting any. I've been.